Men's Roles in the Victorian Era by Jake De La Garza and Andrew Lakina. Who had the most rights in the Victorian era, men or women?
Men had the most rights in the Victorian era, which gave them more privileges than women.
Back then, there was a lot of stress on men who had to provide for their family because there was no one else who could help them.
Sadly, men were allowed to abuse their wives. Men were better educated in this time, which made them become the superior race or the head of households.
Men could get an education at any age, but social rank helped with getting into colleges because you had more money.
Women's roles. Women were not allowed to get educations, so most of them stayed at home. Their jobs consisted of cooking, cleaning, and taking care of the household.
A lot of women hated their jobs.
The biggest jobs women had were in factories, but they only made minimum wage.
Why was this time period so lenient towards men?
During this time period, there was a heavy industrial movement, which led to men having more jobs.
In good old Queen Victoria's day, industrial revolution meant bosses said, please, we need more employees, we needed a solution.
Having so much freedom gave men too much power, which led to the crime rate going up. The Convict and the House of Corrections were the two biggest prisons in the Victorian era. Sadly, the living conditions in the prison were not very sanitary, and most prisoners died.
Factory jobs were the most well-known jobs in this era, and they paid fairly a good amount. In most cases, men were paid more than women, even if they had a worse job. Women mostly were stay-at-home moms, so they couldn't go out a lot. Having to take care of their children and their husband were their main roles. Women had no nightlife, their jobs strictly made them stay indoors.
Is perfect for all your cleaning, sweeping, washing, brushing, dusting, tidying, and serving needs. And what's more, it works for 16 solid hours without needing a break.
Men could go out drinking and come home at night drunk and beat their wives with no consequence. With having the privilege to go out at night, it also meant they could get in a lot of trouble. They also had many rights that they do not have today, such as being with prostitutes and having affairs. Because men would go out drinking at night, crime rate rose.
Laws during the Victorian era. Men were able to take many things from their wives, including their personal belongings.
Because men had the knowledge and work experience, most were aware of their spending and saving. Many men made their kids work.
Women had no rights. Therefore, there were a lot of protesters. Women were seen as clean. Therefore, many men resorted to prostitution, which led to many naughty things.
Why were men superior to women?
Because in the past, with the men making all the decisions, men did not want to see a change in their lifestyles.
Males in the family were expected to support the family, and the laws had helped them do that. Men would support their family and be able to handle the necessities needed.
Better give these dishes a good clean. Oh, hello, love. You're back early. How was the factory?
You are not going to believe this. The managers wound the clock forward half hour, then fined us for being half hour late.
Women wanted to get married so they could be able to have a house other than falling into prostitution.
In conclusion, people argue that it's morally right for women to be treated equally.
It was normal to be married during the Victorian era, so men had to go to work to provide for their family. During the Victorian era, men were the providers and protectors, but were all of their roles acceptable?